Yes, ma'am.
We will revise the poems today just to brush up your ideas. Whether you can remember the very poems or the very ideas you got there, just I will, I will analyze the very ideas. First of all, I'll listen from you. Then I will say something about the very poem. Please, anybody ready to say something?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Please, which poem?
I'm Jannat Faraizi. I would like to describe the poem Locksley Hall, and it
The
is
hall.
written by Alfred Lord Tennyson,
Yes.
and it is one of the masterpiece in poetry,
In Victorian period.
Victorian period.
Yes.
Locksley Hall is a poem, and it contains emotional love, and it's also, and in this poem, uh, uh, the length of the poem is 97 rhyming couplet, and the poem contains dramatic monologue. As we know, dramatic monologue presents a moment in which the speaker speaks a topic, and by doing so he reveals his personal feelings to the listener. And dramatic monologue keeps in suspense, and it gives an idea about psychology. In Locksley Hall, the title goes to the speaker's childhood house. Uh, it was his uncle's house when the speaker was in his childhood. He stayed in his uncle's house, and there was a cousin, and her name is Amy, and the speaker and the speaker's cousin Amy, they fell in love uh, together, and but at the time of their marriage, the at the time of their marriage, Amy rejected the speaker as she wanted to stay with a rich person, because in the Victorian period, the people, they wanted to be rich, and that period money matters. So the uh,
Yes, I will interrupt you. That is, you are getting the point of Victorian period. What is that? That is the beloved Amy didn't agree to marry the very man, right?
yes, ma'am.
The very man. The very man is unnamed. She didn't agree to marry the very man. She rejected. Why she rejected the lover? Why? What is the reason?
Mm, because the speaker was not rich as the husband of Amy.
Yes, that is, they were the people in the Victorian period, they were running after money. They
Money,
were
yes, ma'am.
running after materialistic development, materialistic gain. Soul doesn't have any value to them.
Yes,
Love
ma'am.
doesn't have any value to them. That is, love is not so important, soul is not so important, person is not so important. What is important and what matters? Money matters. And this is the tendency of the Victorian period. And you want to say that the poem is about the unrequited love, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Unrequited.
certainly it is about the unrequited love, but there is another point of view you have to know about the very point that here we see the poet to be adjusted with the
Society.
development of the society, with the development of the
Yes, ma'am.
society, the development, the advancement, it may be scientific advancement, it may be materialistic advancement, with the very society. That is, last of all, at the end of the poem, we see the poet is completely adjusted to the very society he lived, right? So
Yes, ma'am.
he found that actually there is no way. without accepting the very society. And the development is also very important for human beings, for the people of England. So last of all, he accepts the very science positively, more or less positively, but at the beginning, actually he could not cope with the very society of scientific development, or where we find no morality, where we find no faith in religion. That very society was quite disgusting to the very poet. But later on, or at the end of the poem, we see the poet,
Yes.
more or less, he was adjusted to the society. Here you find the acceptance of the very poet of the new order, new development, new progress. He was quite adjusted, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
these points also be focused in the very poem, and you should keep in mind. And another one with another poem, please, Moriam. Moriam, I can see Moriam. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, we are also there.
You are also there. Yes. Thank you very much for joining the class.
Thank you.
Yes. Moriam? Yes. So many people I can see together. Nice. Thank you very much.
I would like to say.
Thank you very much for joining the class. Okay. Stay with us. Don't leave the class. Yes, please, Moriam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
May I start?
Which point?
Ma'am, this is Janati.
Sorry?
This
Janati?
is Janati.
Which
Yes,
poem?
ma'am.
Which poem you want to speak about?
Ma'am, Tithonus.
Tithonus. Okay. Before you start the poem, I want to say something about the very poem. You know, Tithonus is based on a Greek myth, right? You remember the myth?
Yes, ma'am.
Tithonus is based on a myth. It's a Greek myth. And the myth is about what? It's about love. And love of who is two persons, or
Tithonus and Aura.
Tithonus or Aurora or Eos, right? Same person, two names you find in the poem. Tithonus is a Trojan prince, a human being. That is, we see the love between a human being and a non-human being. Human being is Trojan prince Tithonus, and non-human being goddess of the dawn. And what is the name of the goddess? Aurora or Eos, right? So you are seeing the marriage, you are seeing the love between two persons. One is human, another one is non-human. So you can guess, you can infer that there might be something negative sometimes of their conjugal life. And we see last of all, we see one kind of catastrophe. One kind of, you can call it one kind of catastrophe, because psychologically and mentally the character Tithonus was so upset that nobody can take it so normally. Tithonus, as he was a human being, certainly he will have to taste the death, right? He will have to taste the death. He will die. He will die. But the goddess of Aurora, goddess of dawn, she will never die. She will remain evergreen. She will remain so young. She will never be old. So she will never be old. She will never die. But Tithonus will die. He is a mortal human being. And after the death of Tithonus, what will happen to Aurora? And thinking all the things, taking the ideas into consideration, this Aurora goes to Zeus. And who is the Zeus? You know,
Zeus is the
Zeus
goddess of
is the king of gods,
king of
right?
gods.
And to the Jews, she went and prayed for immortality for whom? For Tithonus. But unfortunately, she forgot to ask
As
for
for yacht.
immortal youth. So you easily understand. If you think yourself in the very position, you can realize that is without youth, immortality is a curse. Life becomes a burden for the very man. And same case happened to Tithonus. That is, he was growing old and old and old. That is, older and older and older. And at one stage, we see the beloved Aurora, who loved him intensely. She was moving away. She was moving away from the very man, from the very lover, right? And this attitude of Aurora, Tithonus could not expect, could not bear it, could not take it so easily, and he got frustrated. He got frustrated, and later he asked for mortality. That is, he asked
Death.
Aurora, "Oh yes, please, you give me my mortality back. You take your gift back. I want to die just like the other people in the world, because death has a test, and I want to take it, because I cannot bear my life. My life is a burden for myself. So give me relief. Give me relief. Let me leave the place I am living now. I want to go to the world, and like the other things in the world, I want to die. That will be a blessing for me. It's okay. But what was the response of Aurora? Aurora told that it's not possible for the gods to take, gods or goddesses, to take back the gift once they give to other people. It is not possible. So it is whole life the Tithonus will have to suffer. Really, this suffering, the untold suffering Tithonus had to undergo, really very pathetic, very pathetic. We see him in a very miserable condition, in a very miserable condition. Sometimes we feel pity for him, but you should know, if you make mistake, certainly you have to be punished. No sins, no sinners go unpunished. If you do any sin, if you commit any sin, you must be punished. It was a mistake. It was a gross mistake. It was a blunder on part of Tithonus, right? Why? Because he wanted to cross the limit. We the human beings have some limitations. We have to accept it. But here we see Tithonus wanted to go beyond the limitations of human life, and for this blunder he had to suffer a lot. And last of all, when Aurora failed to impart the mortality to Tithonus, then she turned him into a grasshopper, and as a grasshopper he lived the rest of the part of his life. This is the myth. This is the myth, and Alfred Lord Tennyson is very serious about using the mythology or myth in his very poem, and how he relates the very myth in his poem. Yes, you tell me. I am listening.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
you have done
Done
it so
nothing.
beautifully that I have nothing to
How he
say.
relates to the very myth in the very poem, and what happens there. How do you explain the suffering Tithonus had to undergo? He had to endure. You tell me.
Ma'am, actually, that happened that when the Aurora and Tithonus fall in love with each other, they found that they are not at the same position. One Aurora is goddess and Tithonus is human being. So when Tithonus die, what happened with Aurora? So they both asked for immortality to Zeus, and Zeus accepted uh, Aurora's prayer that Tithonus will have immortal life.
Janati,
But then,
Janati,
yes,
please. Just I want to interrupt a single minute. That is, you will find a difference between the original myth and the myth used in the poem Tithonus. Okay, or in the original myth, you find that Zeus granted immortality for Tithonus, but in the very poem, you find Aurora imparted or offered immortality for Tithonus. This is the basic difference. In the original myth, you find Zeus, but in the poem, you find Aurora. Okay, everything is quite okay, quite right, but this point you have to focus, right? You should keep in mind, right? Please carry on.
okay, so Tithonus was given immortal life, but no, when they lived together, time by time, they found that Tithonus is becoming old, and he don't have the same energy and same glow that ever he had. So time by time, he was becoming old. So Aurora find that she forgot to ask for immortal youth, and that's why Tithonus was becoming old. So Aurora, so usually this Tithonus, once upon a time, grew old, very old. With old age, there are so many problems. It may be diseases, it may be forgetfulness, it may be losing of physical beauty, physical energy. Everything will lose automatically in course of time. So Tithonus also find that Aurora is not paying the same attention as she was paying before, as Tithonus was getting old. So he
Yes,
was really
I understand the point. You got the point very well. Thank you very much, Jannati. Thank you very much. You got the point. Yes. Next one. I listen from